I think the only thing that sort of can help Arsenal in the next game, I think it's at the Emirates, so a home tie. Maybe that can sort of help them. But I don't see how your confidence is going to be good when you're losing away to Bournemouth. And then again, getting down to 10 men three times, right? Three times it's happened this season.
Welcome to the Corner Flag, everybody, and welcome to the Corner Flag, Manasi Pathak, a long time guest host of the Corner Flag. Now, I think we should elevate you to permanent host status.
I'll leave the hosting bit to you. You're good at that. I'll just give my little nuskas here and there, maybe.
Perfect. I think that sounds about great. But I think to start off the episode, we should just say fuck Akash, fuck Mukesh, fuck Prashad. Don't need them. Mansi, you are best friend now.
Let's go.
Yeah. But yes, man, it is good to be here. I am feeling great because the weekend was fantastic. Mumbai City got its first victory of the ISL season this time around, defeating FC Goa at the Fatorda 2-1. Man United beating Brentford 2-1. Chelsea dropping points, yeah, Liverpool getting it, but chalo ho jata hai. Arsenal dropping points,
Yes.
City almost dropping points, and I think that's the most that we can expect from Man City. So yeah, all in all, a very very good weekend.
I didn't expect that United result. And I didn't expect that Arsenal result also.
Yeah,
I thought it would be very easy for them, but yeah,
with the
pretty
way
wrong.
Arsenal have been playing, it should have been pretty easy for them. Not
Right.
saying that Bournemouth are a bad team; they are also playing really well this season. They can hurt teams, but realistically, like you're saying, we didn't expect Bournemouth to hurt Arsenal.
Right. I think it was a home game for Bournemouth, right? Don't
It was a
remember
home game
exactly.
for Bournemouth.
Yeah,
Yes.
maybe that's something that played in their favor. A lot of controversy. We'll get to there, I'm sure.
Lots of controversy for sure. We will get to there because that is the game that we start off this episode with. Bournemouth beating Arsenal 2-0 at the Vitality Stadium. Arsenal's unbeaten run coming to an end. And funny enough, this is the third game this season that Arsenal have dropped points, and in all those games they have lost a man to a card. It was Declan Rice against Brentford. It was Leandro Trossard, I think, against Man City, and now William Saliba's red card against Bournemouth. Let's talk about that red card then, because that was essentially that was what turned the game. Uh, there was there's no controversy there. Like that was a straight red. Like that was as clear cut as it could be. Even though it was at the halfway line,
Right,
one could suggest that it wasn't a clear goal scoring opportunity because he still had the half of the pitch to run through. But
right.
he was still the last man, and it was a clear tactical foul.
Yeah, and I think it became more of a controversy when the other players didn't get booked in the other game.
Yeah,
But even I mean, looking back at the replays, I did feel it was almost a clear cut opportunity for goal. He was through on goal. The ball was heading in that direction,
yeah,
and yeah, I think it was just a moment of panic for Saliba. I
yeah.
wasn't expecting that, but I'm sure he didn't see that coming either.
It's also very weird to witness a moment of panic from a defender like William Saliba, because he's supposed to be such a classy defender, and he is genuinely a very very good defender. His first red card of his career.
Yep. Yep, that's pretty much explains everything. And I didn't watch the match, so when I saw the highlights or maybe sometime in between the game, I was like, Saliba of all players getting a red card. If I had
Yeah,
enough money in my FPL team, he would be in my FPL team.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't.
Yeah, I go with Gabriel for my FPL team. Not that
Yeah.
he gave any returns this time around. But yeah, and Michael Keane on my bench with 13 points. Last player on my bench.
Ooh,
It
ooh,
hurts.
oh
It
no.
hurts. FPL is always a heartache. Like the season is long and it starts off great,
Yeah.
and then it just starts pummeling you with terrible choices that you make, and it absolutely does
And
hurt
then there
you.
was Saka as well, right? Absence of Saka, which was hurting
Huh,
many of us.
so
मेरे
Saka
को भी
I
नहीं
didn't
मिला.
have. नहीं मैं तो
Ah,
लिया ही नहीं साका
acha.
मेरी टीम में,
Okay.
एंड आई फेल्ट लाइक दैट वाज द वन गुड थिंग दैट आई डिड फॉर माय एफपीएल दिस वीक, दैट आई डिड नॉट इन्वेस्ट
Yeah.
इन साका.
This week being the key point here.
Yes, this week being the key point. I'm just hoping that all the other players of mine who also didn't really perform great, like I'm pretty much at average points this game week.
Same, same.
Uh,
Somewhere in the 30-35s, not more than that for
yeah,
me.
exactly. And I just hope that a lot of my rivals who have Saka are ruining their choices. So that is
Unless they
all I
have
can hope
somebody
for.
on the bench like your player Keane, right? You said who has
Yeah,
13 points.
yeah.
Unless that's their first substitute for Saka,
Please
then
don't
we.
say these things, yeah, Mansi. Please don't say these things. But yeah, so have we seen? And I ask this question every time something like this happens because it just seems like a very pertinent question to ask, which is that is this the start of Arsenal bottling it? Every time Arsenal drop points, the
Yeah.
question is always, are they bottling it? Because I see so many Arsenal fans who are so excited about Arsenal chances this year, especially with the way they played last year. They gave City a tough fight. But the fact of the matter is, they didn't win it.
Yeah.
Now, Arteta's been in the job for what, 5 seasons, 6 seasons now? Fifth season, I think this is his fifth season. There is a lack of trophies, but there is also no lack of hubris from Arsenal fans. Like, हम तो सब amazing, amazing club है. अभी हमारा तो it's Chandi time for us. But on the corner of like, we like to temper Arsenal fans' expectations by pointing out these things. Like, are you really title contenders or are you pretenders? Because on the other hand, and we'll
Oof.
get to that game, Liverpool are just
Mhm.
going for it.
Yep. Right. But with Arsenal, usually hota hai na, they start sort of slacking off during December. So
Yeah,
maybe we still have time for that phase. Really depends on their next fixtures. I have not really had a look. What are their upcoming fixtures? It probably depend on that. I can
they
pull
face
that up.
Liverpool next.
Oh, yeah, bad.
Yeah, they face Liverpool next, and they are without William Saliba. So that is a
Hmm.
double whammy for them in that sense. Liverpool, of course, 4 wins and a loss in their last 5 games. Uh, Top of
They
the
are,
table.
yeah, they are like steamrolling under Arne Slot. So let's
Yeah,
not even talk about that. I think the only thing that sort of can help Arsenal in the next game, I think it's at the Emirates, so home tie.
yeah.
Maybe that can sort of help them. But I don't see how your confidence is going to be good when you're losing away to Bournemouth.
That I
And
mean,
then again getting down to 10 men three
yeah.
times, right? Three times it's
Yes.
happened this season.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, like Arsenal fans and also people at Arsenal will complain about how Rice's red card should not have been a red card. That second yellow that he got for flicking the ball away really shouldn't have been. Jury's out on that one. I feel like he was obstructing a quick free kick that was kind
Hmm.
of obstructing the flow of the game. So I feel like a second yellow card was, I think, warranted in that sense. Leandro Trossard also, again, it is in the rules, guys. You can't kick the ball
Yeah.
away like that after the referee's blown the
Hmm.
whistle to stop the play. And now this one, which is again a clear tactical foul. So it does make it exciting to see how a manager like Mikel Arteta deals with these setbacks. One setback, of course, being that their unbeaten run is now done.
Right.
They have dropped 3 points and not just 2 points. They've lost a game for the first time this season. They've lost a game to a team that they should have probably beaten,
Yeah, I
and
agree.
they have got a key player for them suspended. So keeping all of that in mind and keeping the fact that Liverpool are their next opponents,
Hmm.
how does Mikel Arteta come back from this? What do you think he would have to do to steady the ship and get some sort of a result against Liverpool?
I think we probably start first with damage limitation because right now they are sort of in this downward spiral, let's so to say. So right now, I think if they when they host Liverpool next game, I think they'd probably first look at a draw to begin with. Don't really think you come back from such a, let's say, embarrassing loss against
We can we
Bournemouth.
can we can totally say embarrassing on the corner flag. Arsenal fans have no democratic process here. We can
Yeah.
absolutely say embarrassing.
I think it's going to be defensively difficult for them, like you said, because it's been a pattern that they've been losing players, and then especially with Saliba in the last game, when you have
Yeah,
to play almost 60 minutes with 10 men, that puts a lot of pressure on you. So
yeah.
I think defensively it will be difficult for them against Liverpool, and I think their best bet would be probably go for a draw, I think,
Yeah,
and not concede a lot of goals
yeah,
because even if they end up losing, you don't want to ruin your goal difference for the
yeah.
longer sprint, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And of course, against Liverpool, we will hope that Saka comes back from his
Yeah.
injury. They will hope that Kai Havertz is also fully fit for that role because again, Saka and Havertz have been in good form. They have been providing the goals for Arsenal, and them not being in the squad just highlights the lack of creative output in that side. So suddenly the cracks are beginning to show in this unfallible Arsenal squad. So it is going to be really exciting because Arteta is, in the eyes of Arsenal fans, a very highly rated manager. So how
I
does
like how you said in the eyes of us.
Array, so much shade, and this is purely coming from a Man United supporter who's had a good weekend after a very long time. So there is
I
a little bit of bitterness is seeping
okay.
in,
I
but
mean, on any other day, we could probably agree that Arteta is a good manager. I think
he
he is a
is
good manager.
absolutely,
We've had a good manager after a long time. I
yeah,
mean, he's putting them into discussions where Arsenal are title contenders, and you know
yeah,
how they have struggled with this joke of just being top four at best, right?
yeah, yeah,
But
absolutely,
yeah, but yeah, losing to
exactly.
Bournemouth is bad. Losing to
Losing.
Bournemouth is bad. Yeah, 100%.
On the other hand, though, like if we were to now play devil's advocate a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
is it really that bad, right? Because if, for example, and I would say this as a United fan, I
Yeah.
would say, and if United were in Arsenal's position, if United were
Mm-hmm.
title contenders, if they were going through a period where the transitional phase of rebuilding the club was pretty much done and it was on the way up,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a season in the past where a tough fight was given to the eventual title holders, and now they were looking stronger than ever with off the field activity, transfers, etc., etc. In general, there was a much better feeling around the club.
Mm-hmm.
As a United fan in that position, even I would say, yeah, there are some games that you just lose. Like
Yeah.
it it happens. Everybody has a bad day at the office, and a one-off defeat is not the end of the world, especially when we are in game week 7. There's a lot of football still to
100%.
be played.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
and of course, then there's the other mitigating factors. हाँ रेड कार्ड हो गया वो बहुत पहले था गेम में then for the majority
Hmm.
of the game we had to play with 10 men, so there are a lot of excuses that do creep in. So is it really that bad a thing where it's not like they lost against a newly promoted side, or
Yeah.
it's not like they lost against Wolves who are having a terrible season. They are not
Right.
losing against West Ham who are also underperforming. It
Right.
is a Bournemouth side under an exciting manager in Andoni Iraola who have started playing really, really well. They have uh, not set the Premier League on fire, but they are
Mhm.
a team that can hurt bigger teams, and
Right.
it, they are a team that should be feared. So maybe it's not that bad. It's not that big a deal. And I'm just only trying to say this for Arsenal
Yeah.
fans to get them back on side, guys.
I think if we look at it in from the larger picture, which you're trying to say, it's maybe just a blip in their whole journey.
Yeah,
But many a times we reach like the end of the season and you end up losing titles on few points or even goal difference here and there.
yeah,
So when you look back at results, you would feel like, oh, this was an almost winnable game where
yeah,
my club dropped points.
yeah.
And yeah, I mean, if they were to lose against a fellow top six side, then I can understand where it's a little bit like how Chelsea losing to Liverpool. I don't think they played badly.
No, they didn't.
But yeah, but like Arsenal losing to Bournemouth, I think it was a bit, bit unexpected for me. But I know that Arsenal fans are not that surprised.
Yeah.
They like United fans, they are perpetually hoping the worst.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what generational trauma will do to you. That is, they have been through so much shit.
Right.
The last few years of Wenger, all of Emery, so they have been through a lot. So yeah, I completely relate on that aspect with Arsenal fans, with not much more, but with that aspect, I completely relate. Arsenal, of course, now find themselves third in the table, 4 points off top, who are Liverpool, who are at 21 points. City, just 1 point behind them in second place. Chelsea coming up to sixth place now on 14 points, and that is the game that we go through next. We go to Anfield for Liverpool 2, Chelsea 1. Okay, I know Southampton Leicester was an absolute barn burner, 2-3 to Leicester, fucking last minute winner from Leicester and all of that, especially after Southampton were 2-0 up. But Liverpool Chelsea was an entertaining game to watch. I cannot deny that. As a United fan, as a complete neutral with no skin in the game, nothing in this game would ever affect the fortunes of Man United or Man United fans. It was a wholly entertaining game to watch.
100%. Like when you watch matches of rivals, you have this mindset, I hope both teams lose,
Yeah, yeah,
especially when both of them are above you in the
yeah.
table. But I felt it
Wouldn't that be amazing, by the way, if both teams lost? Like, it's
was.
not a draw, they just both lost. Like the Premier League, the referee said, "तुम लोग इतने फकल हो कि किसी को point नहीं मिलेगा." Forget the
Yeah.
scoreline, nobody gets points. In fact, you get deductions.
ऐसा हमें सोच के बोलना चाहिए because there have been many matches United have played horrible
Yeah,
and they would be the first ones to qualify for this
yeah,
rule.
absolutely.
But yeah, a really, really nice game. I feel like the tempo was so high and then Chelsea was
Yeah,
so good.
yeah,
It was almost surprising that they lost because they had more possession, they had more attempts. But
yeah.
Liverpool just, they were not at their best for
No.
sure in that game, but they know how to get their job done.
Yeah. So let's go to the first talking point, and the biggest talking point, of course, is the Tosin Adarabioyo foul
Yeah.
that probably should have been a red card. And like you pointed out earlier, while we were discussing the Saliba red card, the controversy was not in the Saliba red card. The controversy
Yeah.
was the fact that Tosin had a similar challenge in a similar area of the pitch, and he was only shown a yellow. So, what is your understanding of that Tosin foul?
Toss and foul, I think, yes, it was definitely a yellow, but when we talk about a red, I think if you want to argue for consistency, the referee should give a red there
Yeah,
because it was almost similar. Both the fouls were almost similar. But then I'm not a referee, right? And I've
yeah,
been trying to listen to other people's views, not the
yeah.
fans of those particular clubs. But I saw Mike Dean, he was trying to explain it, and according to him, it was completely different. I
How?
don't know. Yeah, I'll come to the
Like,
explanation. So
like, like.
he was saying that the ball was going more towards the touchline, towards the officials. So I think it was going more towards the right rather than going more towards the goal.
Hmm.
And the commentators during the game I picked up, they said that probably Tosin sort of got saved because James on the left was as a covering defender, or I think Colville on the right was as a covering defender. One of those, I don't remember
Hmm.
exactly.
Hmm.
Even Mike Dean seemed to say the same thing, that because of James, he probably got saved.
Yeah.
But again, it's very contentious.
It is, right? Because when I saw it the first time, I thought Reece James was in a position where he could have covered,
Hmm.
and Tosin wasn't the last man. But then when I saw it again, it really did feel like Tosin was the last man. And yes, I do agree that it was veering towards the touchline a little bit, but I feel like that's very marginal. Like, that is absolutely purely on technicality basis.
Yeah.
It is like handwriting गलत था, मतलब it wasn't good handwriting, इसलिए आधा मार्क कट कर दिया एग्जाम में. That is that level.
Yeah, but
uh,
that's been the problem for quite some time, that there's no consistency in calls, and then it just comes down to what one referee thinks, what the VAR thinks, and what someone else doesn't think. Because, like you said, if you just show me stills of both the goals,
yeah,
both the fouls, it looks exactly the same. Looks exactly the same.
yeah,
And I don't know if the ball was generally going more towards the right side. It's like how in cricket when they go for the umpire's review and you use, what is that, ultra edge or
yeah,
Hawkeye, and then they
yeah,
show if the ball is going this way.
yeah,
So I don't know, a lot of technology involved in this, but to
yeah,
my naked eye and to my let's say layman view, I think
yeah,
it looked like a red. It should have been a red, because how is a red a one day and the second day it becomes a yellow for
yeah.
somebody else?
I mean, also the other thing is, I feel like the margins were so thin on that one. You would have expected VAR to overturn an on-field red एंड से कि नहीं नहीं एक्चुअली अगर रिप्ले देखा जाए तो थोड़ा राइट पे जा रहा था, उधर रीस जेम्स भी था, तो ये रेड कार्ड जो है वो ओवरटर्न करके उसको येलो दे दो.
Hmm.
But on-field referees only giving a yellow card. Matlab, then what is the point of VAR, guys? Your on-field referees are only making these great calls. So
Yeah.
what are we talking about? Also, just thought about this Tosin Adaribayo, Tosin rather, more of a pizza, less of a defender. So uh, that is just
Ouch.
my 2 cents on this entire matter. You please do your deep dish, thin crust, whatever nonsense. Don't deal with defense and all of that. Can we spare a moment for Jadon Sancho and his lack of visibility?
Yeah,
Excuse me.
bless you. I think second half, who was he replaced with? Neto, or was he
Yeah,
was
I
somebody
think
else?
it was
Yeah,
Neto. Yeah,
Neto, and Neto was excellent. He was excellent after coming off the bench. Like you could see every time. So I was working during that match, and every time I would put my head up, there's something happening because of Neto.
yeah.
It's
It.
something happening because of Neto. He was really impactful, and Sancho almost anonymous. I think.
I
Yeah.
mean, pretty much almost is an overstatement. I feel I saw this tweet somewhere and I echo the sentiments. Chelsea, thank you for the 25 million pounds.
Yeah, it was
Because
so sad that he was. Yeah, I mean, it's like, was he even there in the game?
as a United fan, I have to point this out. Okay, like there are so many videos out there about media bias against United, and some people, even people who are listening to this, watching this on YouTube, whatever, are probably going to say, "Oh, you've got your tinfoil hat on. तू तो conspiracy theory में जा रहा है. Media का क्या bias है? अगर अगर क्लब टट्टी है तो टट्टी होगा क्लब." No, but I remember as soon as Jadon Sancho started for Chelsea, every article was about Jadon Sancho is smiling. Like there's a picture of him smiling. Oh, he's finally free and he's smiling. घंटा कुछ किया नहीं था उसने. He's
Hmm.
just smiling. And that is such a breath of fresh air because Jadon Sancho has finally found his home. Then he plays one pass. Yeah, at the halfway line, he plays one pass for Nicholas Jackson, who then has to do all the work of beating two defenders and scoring a goal. Jadon Sancho has an assist on debut. This is what Man United have been missing. Like, Q. And at that time, I said also, कि यार guys, this honeymoon period no is going to end so spectacularly and so fast because हमने देखा है he is a very talented player, no doubt, but
Hmm.
he doesn't have the mentality to cut it at the highest level. Like he does not. He's too self-obsessed or self-absorbed, and he's got way too many distractions to be an elite level consistent player. Very good player, and if he finds a club and a manager who can get that out of him, great, because he is genuinely good fun to watch. पर वो नहीं है ही इज नॉट द नेक्स्ट बेस्ट थिंग और द नेक्स्ट बिग थिंग एज पीपल हैव बीन मेकिंग आउट टू बी there is a reason why the Man City academy were okay with letting him go. There is a very very obvious reason. There is a reason why Dortmund didn't want to sign him on a permanent fee
Right.
for whatever. Like they might have said, "Oh, the fee is too high" or whatever. But if they genuinely wanted the dude, they would have made an effort to sign him on a permanent basis. They didn't want to do that. So and of course you can't say anything about Chelsea buying players because they will buy anyone. They will buy my
Yeah.
firstborn child also. I'm very worried about that. As soon as if I ever have a child, I feel like Todd Bowley will come and be like, here's 25 million pounds. I'll be like, le lo. Like please take. You give. So it is a love affair that is going to spectacularly fizzle out.
Yeah, and the thing is, he has the potential to be like one of the key players in any club he goes because, like you said, he has the talent.
Yeah.
But it's not really sort of being delivered in the right way. Even in, I mean, like especially in big top six matches against these top six sides, if you go missing, I think that really shows that that talks a lot about your character and your nature as a player. Because if you go missing in big games, जहाँ पे आपकी सबसे ज़्यादा ज़रूरत है, then what's the point
Yeah.
of playing him, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Neto was excellent. Like I think Neto probably I think even if he was playing not that well, the fact that Sancho was almost rubbish, Neto was being seen as like some superstar player yesterday. But
Yeah.
yeah, Chelsea were great. And also the fact that now Chelsea have other players as well who are doing so good.
Yeah.
So it's not like you said, the honeymoon period wasn't going to last long because
Yeah.
others are going to steal the limelight for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there is definitely an English media bias. They do that with all players.
Yeah.
I mean, some Chelsea fan will come here and tell us maybe the English media had a bias for Rashford back in the day,
Yeah.
or even for Luke Shaw, Maguire, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And they do have a bias, but it's like when you do stories about, oh, he's smiling, he's finally happy. So, no, what is that? It's a clickbait at best, right?
It is full clickbait for sure. Although having just digressing a little bit and talking about the media bias, there was Paul Pogba's ban has been reduced to 18 months, right?
Yeah,
So he
yeah.
can start training from January and start playing from March, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So he did an interview with Sky Sports, just to kind of get the PR going about his return to football and all of that. And the Sky Sports interviewer was talking to Paul Pogba about his time at Man United.
Hmm.
And he was like, "Oh, a lot of times players were constantly criticized while you were there at Man United. So what was going wrong?" And you could see that Paul Pogba, while he's listening to the question, he has a big smile on his face, like he's trying to hold
Hmm.
back the laughter. He's got a very knowing smile, and he's like, "Oh, which players were criticized?"
Ooh.
And the guy was like, "You were criticized very heavily. Jadon Sancho was criticized very heavily. Marcus Rashford was criticized very heavily." And Paul Pogba was just nodding, smiling and nodding. He was like, "Okay, so what do you think was the problem?" And Pogba's like, "I don't know. What do you think was the problem? Do you want to name the players again?" And he's like, "Yeah, he just named the players. I forgot who you said. Jadon Sancho, you and Marcus Rashford." He's like, "Hmm. So is it just the players or is it something else?" So there is obviously that bias, and it
Yeah.
is not even being hidden anymore.
Right. Yeah. But it was part of him to sort of put the question back on the
Yeah,
journalist. I
yeah,
think
very
put
very
that
smartly done.
person in on the spot. What are you going
Absolutely,
to say?
absolutely, very well done by Paul Pogba. Right, so from there we go to the United game. Of course, United beating Brentford 2-1 at Old Trafford. There is an old football cliche that rings absolutely true for this game, which is it was a game of two halves, because that first half, especially that first 20 minutes, United were nowhere near good enough. Like they were there to be taken. They were like, "Brentford, please come to our home. We will show you hospitality. You please take everything and go." Because, oh, tiresome to watch.
Yeah, it was almost okay. It was boring. It was not almost boring. It was boring in the beginning and to the point, sort of alarming also, where
Yeah,
you would expect you started sort of assuming, okay, maybe United could end up losing this because
yeah,
of how sort of they were lethargic in the first few minutes, and
yeah,
then suddenly, again, a lot of controversy there as
yeah,
well. Just conceding a goal before halftime, not something that you would have expected.
yeah,
And then, of course, the head injury that happened to Delete,
yeah.
and then the whole drama that happened.
Yeah. So
So,
just to recap the drama that happened. Delict had a head injury a little while ago where his head was bleeding. He was sent to the touchline to get treatment, which he did, and then he continued the game. And at the stroke of halftime, he was ordered off the pitch again to get treatment again, and he
mhm,
was protesting that. He was like, It's not a fresh wound.
yeah.
It is just dried blood that is showing up. He has already received treatment, but he was still asked to go off. And in that moment, when Brentford had a corner and United were down to 10 men, is when Ethan Pinnock scored that powerful header. Now, Eric Ten Hag also mentioned this in the post match. He was like, "Oh, it was ridiculous because in a moment like that, you need one of your better headers to be in the game to
Mhm,
protect us against that."
mhm.
And you could see some footage from the touchline where Delict was absolutely pissed off when he kicked the
Yeah,
ball away. Ruud van Nistelrooy also got into
yeah,
it with the fourth official, got a card for it as well. And that is apparently what happened at halftime. And Ten Hag also said that, "Oh, that the way that injury was handled made us angry." And then they come out in the second half, and 47th minute, Garnacho equalizes.
right, yeah,
And that's great as a United fan to see that change. But why can't you do that in the first half?
yeah, yeah. Especially the injury. Okay, so he was sent off by the referee on two occasions before that third time United actually conceded.
Yeah,
So the first two times he was bleeding and he got medical attention. For some reason, they didn't stitch it up,
yeah,
which is why I think he was bleeding again. Although Ten Hag said later it was just dried blood. The point is, why are you not sort of getting it stitched? I think
yeah,
the reason there was they were just sort of trying to play. I think it was the 40th minute, and
yeah,
again the blood was pouring down, and they were like, "We'll just finish this. It's
yeah,
just 5 minutes." But I think that's the rule. You can't really do that. So the
yeah,
referee's like, "Go get it done."
yeah,
And of course, they are a man down, one with one of their best defenders on the touchline,
yeah,
and they concede. But I mean, again, if they wouldn't have conceded, I don't think it would have sparked such a good. I
yeah,
mean,
correct.
for example, it was 0-0, they wouldn't have necessarily been so
Exactly.
aggressive.
Yeah,
They sort
yeah,
of needed that to trigger them,
yeah,
and could have happened. But yeah, like you said, क्यों जरूरत है इसकी? Why is this not coming on its own? Like, where is this aggression not coming on its own?
I mean, to like, all I want to say is, if aggression or if triggers for aggression is all that you're looking for,
Hmm.
then man, honestly, Read the papers, read social media, read what everybody is saying about every one of you. People are calling Eric Ten Hag takla. People are calling Bruno Fernandes a whiny little bitch. People are calling Marcus Rashford Marcus Trashford. Like, show the players all of this and tell them ki, this is what people think of you. Do you believe this, or do you want to show these people what you actually are? Good fucking players. Get them riled up with that shit.
Yeah, I think maybe if Tenag you end up listening to this,
Yeah.
Amog has some words of wisdom for you.
I mean, I know Eric Ten Hag listens to the podcast, as do most players and managers in the Premier League. So, Eric, if you're wondering if I'm free next weekend, I totally am. If you want me to come down to Manchester and be with you on the touchline, I'm ready to do that for the greater good of the club. Uh, but it was a fantastic performance in the second half. Garnacho's goal was brilliant. That pass by
Lovely.
Rashford
Right.
was pinpoint. Like, that is a dream pass. That is a dream cross, which again finished really well. Garnacho again looked extremely good throughout the game. He was making a lot of chances for United. He was causing all sorts of trouble for the Brentford defense. And the winner by Hoyland again, Bruno with a sublime flick.
Yeah,
And I
backheel
just hope,
pass.
I just hope that this shuts people up for a little bit. Especially the people who've been criticizing Bruno Fernandes for his lack of form.
Mhm.
I just hope those ungrateful bastards can go fuck themselves for a little while. Because he has been the most consistent player that United have had for the last 3 seasons or more. He is the captain. He is not the kind of player to fuck about. वो बराबर से अपना काम करता है. थोड़ा अगर उसका फॉर्म डिप हो गया तो तुम लोग इतना अग्रेसिवली यू आर टर्निंग अगेंस्ट हिम. It's shameful. And fuck all of those guys. I want to see all of their reactions now, what they're calling Bruno Fernandes now.
Yeah, especially those who have him in the FPL team, suddenly points भी मिल गए होंगे उनको, which they would have not expected. But what an assist. So beautiful. And
Superb.
I think it was a great team move as well.
Yes.
So I'm very
Yeah.
sure even Ten Hag's going to be really happy with it. The whole, I think, as soon as the second half started, it was like, wait, have we switched on a different game?
Yeah.
Because suddenly it was so fun, it was so fast, it was so intense.
Yeah.
And even both the goals was really good. Like the finish, both by Hoyland and Garnacho, really good. Garnacho, in fact, also had chances apart from that
Yeah.
goal. It
Lots
was
of
pretty
chances.
fun. Yeah, and like it happens in all games, once you score one, like the first time or even equalize, your confidence just rises.
Yeah.
And of
Yeah.
course, they had the support of thousands of fans there, which also helps you
Yeah.
psychologically.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially getting that goal early on in the second half also played a key part, because the earlier you equalize, the more confidence that you have that yes, you can get something out of this game. But yeah, very, very happy for Hoyland, very happy for Garnacho, very happy for Rashford and Bruno as well. I think everybody played their part, everybody played well. And I just hope that this is the turning point, and with Ten Hag and the team can actually build from this, because
Yeah.
we've got Fenerbahce in the Europa League next, a visit to Jose's stomping ground, which is very,
True.
very intimidating as a United fan. I don't know what's going to happen there, and our Europa League campaign has been far from optimal. So let's see how that goes. But at least Premier League season should get back on track after this. A team that's really blowing hot and cold in the Premier League is Spurs, and also West Ham, because you would have thought that Lopetegui ke under West Ham would really, really, start moving up to the next level, especially after Moyes. And with Spurs, you know that Ange ball is really fantastic, but sometimes it fizzles out so dramatically.
Right.
But this was one of those games, Spurs 4, West Ham 1, where Ange ball was at its peak, and I think a lot of it was down to the fact that Heung-min Son was back.
100%. I think it was pretty much clear, right? As soon as he comes back, he's everywhere on the score sheet.
Yeah,
He's assisting, he's scoring, and whatnot. So, yeah, I think it makes a big of a difference. For any manager, he's a very important player in the team.
yeah,
Uh, and Postecoglou is no exception.
yeah,
So yeah, and I mean, like you said, they've been hot and cold. I didn't see that result coming.
yeah,
Sure, they would have beaten, but with that score line
yeah,
4-1, and it was manic at that time
yeah,
when it happened.
yeah,
To and fro, wouldn't have guessed it. But
yeah,
good for Spurs. I think good for Spurs. Home, it was a home win, right? So
yeah,
yeah, and against a London rival.
yeah. They climb up to seventh place now, 1 point behind Chelsea in sixth place. So they are on their way up. The thing is, and this is what worries me. If I were a Spurs fan, if I were looking at this, I would be like, yes, Ange Ball is lovely to watch, but it's also becoming clear that Son is a big part of this. That the team
Mhm.
is still being built around Son, and when he is there in the attack, when he is leading the line uh, with Brennan Johnson and Dominic Solanke, there is a lot more attacking threat. But Son is not getting any younger. He is 30 plus now. So what is Ange's contingency? And this is a question that I'm asking of a manager who very famously does not have contingency plans. He does not have plan Bs. He's very, very
Mhm.
dogmatic about which style of football he's going to play. And regardless of the situation, that is the style of football that he's going to play. So how does he account for Son's eventual absence from Spurs, whether it is through injury, through a transfer, or whatever it may be?
Yeah, I think then the solution to this is probably start working on your squad depth. But I don't know if right now is the time he's going to do it. Plus, I am not sure if he's looking at a long term span at Spurs. I may be wrong at this
Yeah,
because you and I might be sitting here and thinking, oh, what's he going to do about Sonny?
yeah.
But for all you know, he's just thinking about, chalo ye season nikal lete hain.
Yeah. What am I going to do about Crystal Palace next weekend?
Yeah, exactly. Like for, I mean, he must be just happy he has one of his best players back
Yeah,
because otherwise it's just going to be downhill. So it's
yeah.
good, but yeah, it is alarming, like you said, that if you're going to depend on an, let's say, aging player for a long time, then yeah, it's going to be difficult.
So I have a thought on this, which is
Hmm.
they should probably look at Eberechi as a.
Okay.
He's a slightly different player from Son, obviously, uh, but I feel like he can be that attacking focal point that Spurs can build their next squad around. Uh, Whether they'll have enough to lure him from Crystal Palace to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, I do not know. Considering that all the other big clubs are also very, very heavily interested in him.
Hmm.
But if they manage to get Eze, I think that would be a very, very good signing for Spurs.
I think they can sort of attract him because it comes down to how much playing time he will get at the other clubs, right? If you end up
Yeah,
getting more playing time at Spurs, that's technically more beneficial for you rather than just having some glimpses of magic here and there.
yeah,
So
and
I
and
think it might,
especially for Eze, who's currently breaking into the English team as well.
right.
So for national team prospects, I think it also makes sense to have a move to a club where you are going to get more playing time.
But okay, I'll pose a question to you in that case. When do you see Son sort of, I mean, us reaching a stage where Son has to be replaced? How soon or late?
Uh, I think he's got 2 seasons in him
Yeah.
in the Premier League at
Mhm.
the highest level,
Yeah. That's
and
what
I
I
feel
was thinking
and I
as
feel
well.
like next season is going to be the season where he will not be able to start every game because I feel like he's, I wouldn't say rapidly on the decline,
Hmm.
but he's not as dangerous as he was uh, in that legendary Harry Kane led team,
Hmm.
where Kane and Son were the go-to guys, and I think that is when he was 27, 28. He's not that lethal anymore. And of course, I know that I'm saying this when he's got 2 goals and an assist in the previous game, almost a hat trick as well. So I understand how this is completely bad timing, but realistically speaking, I feel like next season, if they get Eze in,
Hmm.
then they can transition into a squad built around Eze very, very fluently.
Rather
While
than
still,
doing it.
yeah,
Yeah.
rather than running around helter skelter because Son is not working out, and now they need to find a solution, and they're desperately looking all over the market. If they actually play it smart,
Hmm.
then they'll start laying the groundwork to get Eze into Spurs next season.
I think he will play at least two more seasons, like you said, because the 2026 World Cup would be around that time. So I think he
Yeah,
would want to have playing time to play for South Korea.
yeah,
In that, if you go by that, then I don't think Spurs will probably look at replacing him as soon as next season. वो लोग तो निचोड़ेंगे जब तक चलेगा,
that's true.
is what I feel.
Yeah,
Because again, you might. I mean, it comes down to funds, then making changes to your plans, and also your manager has not been at the club for a very long time.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Could be a good shot. We'll probably come back to this in 2 years.
Yeah,
I
we'll
have a
see.
good feeling you could be right.
We'll see what happens. We'll clip this and we'll see who's right, who's wrong, who's close enough. Right before we go, final game that we should quickly talk about is Wolves 1, Man City 2. Uh, Everything that United were known for in the Ferguson era, about being a championship
Yeah.
winning team, a consistent winning machine who always win it no matter what, regardless of how they play. And even at the end, if they're trailing or they're just drawing the game, you always expect them to score. And it hurts my heart to say the same about Man City. But as soon as Wolves score that first goal, which was again a lovely, lovely goal, you know that City are going to get back in. And it's almost it's embarrassing and it's almost like a joke. It's a parody now that Man City are equalizing and then winning through their two center defenders.
Yeah.
Like Guardiola equalizing and then John Stone scoring in the 95th minute to win it for them. Is just it's Guardiola taking the piss. It's like we don't even need Haaland. We don't need De Bruyne. We don't need your fucking Phil Fodens. Our
I
centre
think,
halves are only good enough.
yeah, they might be one of the very few teams who can get results even when their main player is, I mean, not firing.
Yeah,
ये कौन से दूसरे टीम के साथ होगा आप बताओ.
yeah,
It's just they're like how you say they're pain. It's like they're being painfully good. It's
yeah,
just, yeah, they're awfully nice, something on those lines. But
yeah,
again, a lot of controversy even in their game. Like this weekend was more controversy, less football, is what I realized.
exactly. So let's talk about that because the controversy was about John Stones' goal, uh, and the controversy that was that Bernardo Silva was in an offside position in the line of the keeper, so he
Mhm.
was obstructing the keeper's view, which would have made him offside. But that was overturned by VAR because the goal was disallowed by the on-field referee, and then VAR overturned it. And this was what the Premier League Match Center tweeted. So this is their official view on this. They said that Stones' goal was disallowed on field due to Bernardo Silva being in an offside position and in the goalkeeper's line of vision. The VAR deemed Bernardo Silva wasn't in the line of vision and had no impact on the goalkeeper and recommended an on field review. The referee overturned his original decision and a goal was awarded. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I was just going through the replays again because during that time I didn't really catch it. I so there's two problems in this. The first one is that VR only checked for if Bernardo Silva was offside. They never checked if there was a foul because if you see the replays, he nudged the keeper.
Exactly.
So that can be a foul, but VAR ने वो देखा नहीं. They were just trying to see if he was in the line of vision. And
Yeah.
to be fair, he was in the line of vision in like initially, but while the ball was played, he sort of ducked down.
Yeah.
So he's not obstructing the keeper, and that's fine. Like I agree. But literally a few seconds later, like he sort of nudged the keeper, and the
Yeah.
keeper loses his footing, which is why
Yeah.
he's not able to save the header.
Yeah.
What happened to
Yeah.
that?
So I mean, on again, this is one of those handwriting was not good, which is why marks are cut because you're right. He's not obstructing the keeper's line of vision, but he is obstructing the keeper. like
Yeah,
he's
in other ways.
it's almost like he's pushing the keeper, but तू देख सकता है ना bro, तू देख सकता है ना, तो फिर I haven't done anything wrong.
I mean, how is I mean, मुझे नहीं समझ रहा था कि how is line of vision a bigger problem than him nudging the keeper?
Yeah.
Line of vision, debatable. Nudging the keeper, everybody can see.
Yeah.
So it was weird and also funnier because it was disallowed by the on-field referee
Yeah.
and the VR has overturned it.
Yeah.
I would have on any other day if you were telling me about this match as a like in hindsight, I would be like, buddy, isn't it supposed to be the other way around in
Yeah.
most matches, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like again, like I feel like if they would have cut to the actual VAR room, you might have seen some people with a gun or something just behind the referee.
I was paying attention to it so
Yeah,
seriously,
yeah.
and then you come out with that.
Like, actually, referee, I think your on-field decision needs a TV review. Are I'm saying, bro, I'm saying. Like, I need to talk to my wife and kids. So yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, on that note, it is time to end this episode. Thank you so much, Mansi, for joining us on the Corner Flag. And thank you, everybody, for listening. If you'd like to get in touch with us and tell us what you thought of this episode, we can be found on our social media. You can find Mansi on Instagram at,
Pictures of Mansi.
and you can find me on Instagram at Amogh and Manasi. You can also follow the Corner Flag on Instagram at the rate Corner Flag Pod. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ at the rate Corner Flag Pod. Hit the subscribe button, like the videos, comment on them. We really like the engagement that you provide us, and it's just nice to be able to talk to you guys on a different platform. If you don't want to do that and you want to be a traditional podcast listener, then have no fear, because we are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast from. And if you're listening to us there, take a moment right now to give us a 5-star review, because that really does help the show. Shout out to Kazat Gurda for composing our theme tune. And until next week, it is goodbye from us. Say bye, Mansi.
Bye bye.
And it's bye from me.